the big first thing would be, why would you go build versus buy, right? In WA, the established market is bloody mental.
I actually had a client the other day. She goes, "Oh, can you do me something for 440?" I said, "Unfortunately, no, but I would advise you to buy established, right?"
This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Land Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde
and Catherine Smith. Good morning.
Good morning. How are we?
Oh my gosh, what a topic! What a topic, guys! This is the most exciting topic of our lives because we talk about this every day.
Why?
Why do this? Why do that? Now, viewers' discretion advised. It's going to be why build versus why buy established. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, we're in the building game, okay?
Yep.
So we are a little bit biased, not going to lie, slightly angling towards building, okay? Viewers' discretion advised. However, there are some good methods for buying established we'll touch on as well,
yep.
But we may have a slight swing to biasness. But we have good cases, right?
Yeah. And there'll be some financial stuff we'll talk about. We are not financial advisors.
Viewers' discretion advised.
But it's kind of stuff that we know because of the industry we're in and some insider information that Catherine might have.
Yeah, okay, go with blame me.
Well, your husband's an accountant, so therefore we can run that stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think what we're going to do is
shout out to Matt, what a legend.
We're not going to be talking about the nonsense fluff that a lot of people do, the obvious things, but we really want to do it from an angle of if we're going to build a house versus buy established, one from just a residential point of view for like your own house, but also from an investment point of view. So we're kind of going to do a little bit of mixity, bit of whatever comes to my brain when we start talking about that topic, and then we'll float from there. Okay?
There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
We've got the points. But
we're going off road, but I feel like that's kind of working for us.
I feel like you guys like it, right?
Okay, so let's start something easy.
The big first thing would be, why would you go build versus buy, right? In WA, the established market is bloody mental.
That's an understatement.
2 days. I've got clients selling houses that come to me and go, Tony, do you know someone that's looking to buy it? And I'm sending them the buyer's agents. They're not even going on the market. They're not even going on the market. They're sight unseen. That means people are buying it without seeing it. And then we're seeing, obviously, 50, 60, 70 grand over asking price?
Comfortably. So I actually had a client the other day and she goes, "Oh, can you do me something for 440? House and land." And I said, I said, "Unfortunately, no. But I would advise you to buy established, right?" So here I am, non-biased. Okay, that was the actual advice I gave her. And she goes, "Well, I'll be honest with you. I did put an offer on a villa in Gosnells for 440 and it sold for 520. So that's really concerning. And that was a villa. So I actually advised her exactly what she did was, look, go buy established, but it won't be a house and land. It will be essentially some sort of villa or apartment or whatever. And even that she couldn't even get. So yeah, the established market's a little bit crazy, but at least in terms of building, we can work backwards in terms of price point and then find something that would actually fit your budget, rather than getting people with more money that can obviously compete.
And what's a really good thing about, doing that would be if you build and say it's valued at 600k now, there's a good chance it's going to be worth a bit more in a year's time when you get the keys to it. Strong possibility. Very high chance. Again, and this is not against the established market right now, if you don't have the money to then renovate inside after it, because a lot of them are needing renovations because all the good ones are gone like that. You've got to jump up there and you're left with what you can buy, and then you probably got to pump in quite a bit of money or a lot of sweat equity to get up to where you want it to be.
And in terms of that, I think that's absolutely crucial for the investor market, okay? So why I argue that is you really don't know what you're getting, okay? So if you were to buy an older home, in terms of, especially if you're not actually in this state and you're having it managed over here, you have no idea essentially the structural, integrity of the home. So that is obviously a money pit, or can be a money pit in terms of those sort of things as well.
Yeah. You got to fork out for building inspectors, and they become a little bit more expensive when you're looking at established and things like that. And if they don't pick something up, there's just a million different things. So
so let's start easy. Let's just build. No, customization. So this is obviously one of the major points for the reason people buy. Again, it's actually for people that build for themselves, but also build for investing. So we'll touch in building yourself and the customization.
Yeah, so the work out is find a plan that works for you. What do you need? A 4x2? Do you need a theatre? Do you need the stuff in it? What size are your bedrooms? And then just go and find something, or come to us and we'll customise it. What we generally do is get a footprint of the land and then a footprint of kind of the size of house you want. And it's basically just dividing it up. There's 100,000 plans out there. You'll find something that's close and then a little bit of tweaking, customising it. And you end up getting what you want, and you can get it to flow and it works for you.
Yeah.
Again, but if you're investing, customizing it to a degree that suits you doesn't actually work. You've got to go, what will rent you nice and easy? What will rent? What's easy to maintain? What is easy to keep clean? What's easy to fix anything? What works? 4x2, nice sized rooms, done. Do you know what I mean? Customization gives you that. And it shouldn't cost you any more.
Yeah.
It should not cost you any more.
So with customizing in terms of your own home, particularly this is important if you have something specific in mind. So an example would be you do kayaking, you need a hire garage, you need to put things in place, or you do motorcycle renovations or whatever.
Car garage, you've got them with the garage at the back and stuff, right?
Garage is always going to be a hot top one for customizations, because the standard garage size is generally not what I'm going to argue men like, right? Again, a customization, it always will come down to personal circumstances. Yep. So I just did one for a client that needed a lot more acoustic insulation. Unfortunately, her health isn't great, so she needed those things in place to help her rest and things like that. So there are things in place that you need in a home to suit your lifestyle and what is needed for you. Now, again, in terms of customization, in terms of investors, this is always going to be customized depending on what we're trying to achieve. Now, generally speaking, investors really looking for that higher rental yield. So in terms of the customization space, that will either convert you into a sort of a dual key concept or an NDIS home or a co-living space, things like that, just to increase the rental return on those sort of things.
That's what they're looking for. Right? They can, I want a 5x5.
Yes.
Can be done. And then investors have that kind of cash to do it, right?
Exactly.
Hot tip on the garage, just because you go up to say 31 course or 30 courses, make sure that you get the garage door and the lintel put up as well. There's no point in having it, you can't get under it, but if you can't get in or out, hot tip, make sure you put the garage door up as well. It can be done. Just best thing to do is measure the height of your car and then make sure you've got the clearance. We've seen people get stung with this before. Got a nice big high garage, but they've just left the garage door because the garage door will sit down. Got a lintel. Hot tip for you guys out there. You're welcome.
I'll just get Tony to build your garage.
That's it. Easy.
That's an easier option.
It's so funny. I do a lot of them. It's like
I am not surprised, but because garage is what every man talks to me about, and he will give me his car measurements in an email the next day.
A workshop on the back of someone so a guy could build a small brewery.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Big his own drink. It's fantastic.
Cute. The next one is going to be in terms of warranty, right? Now, when you build your home, of course, you have warranty in terms of like your finishes, so your tapware and your
there's different takes of warranty.
Different levels of it, but there is the major, I guess, focus on today is the structural warranty, which generally speaking, obviously I can't talk for every builder because we represent so many. It's about 25 years in WA for structural warranty. So why that's important is this is obviously a huge asset for you. And if you're going to have any issues, let's say 10 years down the line in terms of the roof collapsing or major,
structural defect,
pipes bursting in walls and what have you, there is very clear documentation in your name that this is your build, you've been the sole owner for the whole time. There is a huge paper trail in terms of emails and actual contracts and things like that. So there is absolutely no grey area for a builder to argue the case that they are not required to mend any of the issues. Now, these structural issues is for 25 years. So you can imagine in 15 years' time, there is a structural issue. You definitely want to have that paperwork to be very clear to say that you've been the sole occupier of this property, and that way that things can get mended very much in a black and white kind of area, and you're not in a battle with any sort of builder in terms of, although let's say if you were to buy an established property, the remaining amount of the structural year warranty will of course cross over to you. However, there is that grey area of what was done by the builder and what was then added by the previous owner, that kind of thing. And so it's just reducing the risk of any sort of huge blowouts in terms of structural issues we may have down the track, that there is very clear black and white documentation to protect yourself and to protect your asset.
I mean, the ownership of the house will be fine because you'll have the track of the titles, right, which is fine, which is pretty easy to it's the build that you're talking about, because that build contract was obviously in your name. Now that would follow the house. However, how often do you see the old build contract? It's not, you work on the sale of deeds and the title, right? So therefore that build contract. And if you're selling a house, do you really care? No, you're moving on. You don't really care too much. So it's just a question, if you are buying established, do we have the old build contract or something that can prove that this was what was built and what has been added on? Yeah. Because a lot of people might add on without getting council approval. Like a patio or put a pool or something like that. We've seen it happen. It's just more of a be aware.
Yeah, a little DIY energy in the second buyer kind of thing can obviously be affected by that, because they might find out that the previous owner actually put that kitchen in and didn't do the plumbing correctly. Okay, so that will then void the structural warranty of the home, right? If there was a flood.
Retailed and ripped out and didn't redo the waterproofing.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't get the plumber to check that. Again,
renovating bathrooms, that's a classic.
Yeah, because the waterproofing's where it happens, and you're like, oh, this is leaking, it's a builder's fault. If you've retiled, you should really be looking at the waterproofing, do waterproof again. Again, just these things to look out for.
Yeah. I also would say the warranty aspect is a huge importance for East Coast or interstate, I should say, investors that are obviously looking to invest in the Perth boom. Okay, so warranty is obviously hugely important because, one, you're not actually here and you're not going to be living in terms of your tenants and what have you, but you have a very clear black and white documentation that things have been done correctly, and then you're protecting your investment. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, and that's, I mean, there's not much more to say on that. Just be careful. That's what you get.
Okay. So that was a slight build energy, but we're going with it. Okay.
Yeah. Again, another great thing for building is if you are an investor or mum and dad investor or overseas, whatever it needs to be, it becomes really easy to rent. Because it's literally walking in all fresh, clean, and we know for a fact, I've got clients that are building to rent out, and they're getting like 40, 50 people through there because it's brand new, never been lived in, you're not living in someone else's dirt, it's like happy days, everything's brand spanking new. Yeah. So easy, rentability is so easy, right?
Yes. So there's almost two ways to look at this in terms of easy to rent. Now, like what you're saying is, let's say it's still a relatively new area, okay, in an estate. Let's go Hammond Park, okay. There could be a 5-year-old house, and then there could be Tony's brand new house. Now, obviously, Tony's brand new house is going to get a higher rental return just because it doesn't have that wear and tear of the older house. I always use this as an example as well for investors looking to buy versus build, because what you have to go is, okay, that house down the road is 5 years old, but yours is brand new. So you're going to get, one, a higher rental return. But in terms of, let's say if we're going to have the goal of selling in 5 years to, release cash flow, what's going to happen is your 5-year property is easier to sell than the 10-year-old one, okay? So you might have bought it established that's only 5 years old, but by the time you sell it, it's now 10 years old. That then pushes you to go, okay, it's 10-year-old carpet, we're going to have to replace that. We may have to renovate the kitchen. We may have to do that. This is extremely important, particularly for interstate clients, because the last thing they want to do, let's say for argument's sake, I don't want to renovate a kitchen in Victoria. I have no idea what's happening over there. I'm not over there, okay? So you've got to put it in that perspective. Whereas if I'm building something new in Victoria and I'm selling it 5 years, and if that's my investment goal, way easier. Because I'm not having to renovate and change tiles and God knows what, okay? So building in terms of, the goal to sell and to gain, that obviously makes a lot of sense as well.
And before the cable warriors jump on us and have us, this is comparable comps. This is like a house that's comparable 5 years ago to now. They're the same sort of size, build, sort of that look, not... Well, obviously, for a 4-bedroom, you're going to get more than a 3-bedroom. We're not saying it. We're trying to say things that are, because that's how you work out your rental cost rate, is what's comparable comps in the square metre foot. Just so you don't shout at us, and also people understand what we're talking about. Okay. just
Okay.
cave in away.
We
love you all.
We love a viewer's discretion at all times.
Yeah, but it is a hot topic.
It's a common sense thing, but I guess obviously we're comparing a 4x2 with a 4x2. Yeah,
these are things that we've had challenged on or been spoken about, or when we're talking to clients about build versus buying things. Like that.
Correct.
Just to make sure you're aware of it.
Next one is energy efficiency. Take away, Tone.
Well, here we go. Energy efficiency. Again, older houses, the standards have changed. You know, we're hitting 6-star ratings, 7-star ratings. We're seeing 9-star rating houses coming out. I think 6-star rating is what we're meant to be putting in, right?
Minimum standard for building.
Right?
Yep.
Another one. Be careful with that. Just because they say they're going to put it in, they don't actually have to go and do it, and it doesn't get checked up on the scene. Some builders are saying, yeah, it's 6-star energy rating, or we have the ability to do it, and then they don't put the stuff in, and it just kind of goes through the waypoint, and the contract's signed off. Just be careful that if you're getting that in the contract, okay? So older houses don't have that stuff. They don't have the insulation. They don't have anti-con on the roof, things like that. They don't have noise attenuation. They don't have bushfire attack level. I know it's not energy efficient, but don't have that stuff on there.
Yeah.
All the new houses that we're building are set with strict codes that they have to have this stuff done.
Yeah, I think obviously things change over the years, you know, in any industry and building particularly, where it's, you know, the standard has obviously changed, right? Yeah. So in terms of materials and to make your house run efficiently energy-wise is extremely important for our WA heat, you know, obviously mostly for the summer and things like that. So we need houses that can obviously cool in summer and warm in winter. And providing that energy rating that obviously allows that is what is, you know, the reason we like to build as well.
And it's not, I don't know if it'll ever happen, but there's been rumours around the industry that old houses, when you're buying them, are going to be told you have to bring up to energy rating. Don't know yet. Whether that'll ever get passed through the bill through the government, I'm not sure, but there's talk about people trying to lobby that.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I think it's, you know, I think there'll be a drawing the line in the sand in what's called like the Grandfather Act. They'll say, right, anything after 1995 doesn't have to have it, sort of before 1995. I would believe that's what would.
So you just freeze in winter, and that can be up to you if you want to do that.
Yeah, you know, I think that's why we've got hoodies now, isn't it? So everyone wears an hoodie and Ugg boots. Never seen Ugg boots till I moved here. Jesus.
What?
Never.
Stop.
And I was like, I'm against them, and then I put them on, and I'm like, I don't need to wear anything else. It's so hot.
Ugg boots so good.
You know what I mean?
So,
Ugg boots are amazing. Get your mind out the gutter, people.
Yeah.
I still wear clothes. I just mean I don't have to put extra hoodies on.
Yeah, and energy efficiency. I don't know if this, again, is going to be in place, but there has been rumours going around that, you know, when you advertise your house on the market for sale in the next coming years, you will actually have to put in your energy rating in the description of the ad and sort of disclose where your energy efficiency rating actually lies. So running a household that was built 25 years ago is probably going to be realistically a lot more expensive than running the household here in terms of energy.
Yeah,
so that has to actually be disclosed in terms of selling. This is what they're actually looking at in Parliament as well. So I guess the argument is if you're going to build something now and then sell in 10 years' time, you definitely want to have some higher star rating for obviously to avoid that issue.
And again, if the grandfather rule comes in, when you're building now, the 6-star energy rating will probably be suffice because that's what was built at the time. But when you're building in 2020, 30 or something, 2030, it might have to be 9-star, maybe double glazing will be standard and
but if you invested in a house that only has 3-star, then we're in trouble, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we're going to do some boring topics, but let's go stamp duty.
This is where Catherine's the smart one.
Am I? Okay, watch out. So stamp duty is obviously the major incentive, I would say, for people to build rather than buy established. Now, I'm going to use basic figures, but this is a generalization for you to wrap your the concept around it, okay?
Becoming way more relevant now with the price of building starting to creep up or crept up.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say if we were to do a house and land package for 700,000, let's say in argument's sake, I know, let's go easy, 350 for block, 350 for build, okay? What the stamp duty basically means is if you were to buy an established house for 700 grand, you'd have to pay stamp duty on the whole amount, which in this argument is 700,000. So that's a significant amount. I don't know what the number will be. I think it's high
2% or something.
I think it's like 27 grand or something for about 700 grand. Yeah, house and land. So 27 grand in tax or stamp duty, same thing, is a lot of money, okay? Essentially how it works in terms of stamp duty for building is because you actually have two contracts. You settle on the land and then you settle on the build contract. So you actually only pay stamp duty or tax, if you will, on the land component. So in this scenario, the block is 350,000. So you actually only pay stamp duty on the block. Now, the other part we have here in WA is to sort of incentivize people to build and to sort of keep our construction industry going a little bit is any block under $300,000, you don't actually pay stamp duty.
Zero.
Right? So that's a huge incentive, and that's obviously why we try and find blocks that are $299,999, but it is hard in this market to find that. So in this argument, okay, the block was $350,000. You actually only pay stamp duty on the threshold amount over $300,000. So it's only going to be $50,000 in this argument. So in a comparative, if you were to buy a $700,000 house, you're paying, let's say, $28,000 in tax. If you're building in this argument, you're only paying the amount of the $300,000, which is $50,000. So $50,000 versus $700,000, I think that's about $28,000. This would probably be about $800. So that is the difference in terms of paying tax. I don't do maths. That's my generalization, but that's essentially the concept of it. So one, this is again for the first home buyer market. That's a huge pool because obviously their budget is $700,000. They don't want to be looking at a $670,000 house because they have to now pay that $30,000 in tax, right? Because if that's all they can borrow, then we're now having to downsize. So they really want to be able to get as best value for their money as they can. And then obviously in terms of the investor market, they don't want to be, paying stamp duty on a whole package anyway, because that's the whole point is obviously to get the incentive of investing.
Perfect. There you go.
There you go. Okay, last one.
Again, this is you.
This is me.
You know about this stuff. I understand a little bit, but you know way more about it than me.
I am certainly not a financial advisor, but this is the general concept, okay? So we'll go into it a little bit more detail, case by case. But essentially, when you build, you basically have a depreciation schedule of your build contract. So let's say your build contract's $450,000, 2.5% you can have in your tax return for depreciation of the build contract. So let's say if the build's $450,000, that's about $11,000 a year. Okay, that you can write off as well. So depreciation, like structurally and obviously the internals and things like that, as well as the finishing, so tiles and what have you, and aircon, right?
And that's there for you to replace them eventually and stuff like that, isn't it? Because that's what depreciation is. Things break. It's like your car and that, right?
And what's really great about the depreciation schedule is that goes for 40 years. For the next 40 years of your ownership of the investment, you can write off 2.5% of the build contract. So that's, in this argument, it's about $11,000. This is really important for more so the investor market, okay? So what I mean by that is the investors that come to me, they're obviously looking for higher rental yields or even like a cash flow positive investment. So if they are obviously making good cash from the investment, they obviously want to write it off and offset it sort of thing. So, tax-free is obviously the goal, and paying off the mortgage and, getting an investment paid out very quickly. So
the government put these tax loops in there for a reason. They don't want you to pay tax essentially, but so use it, right?
Yeah. So in terms of investing, obviously, in a nutshell, if you are an interstate buyer looking to invest in the Perth property market, I would always choose build, okay? To be fair, I am in building, but I actually do believe this because obviously you have the tax benefits, you have the stamp duty benefits, you have the warranty, and I think that is hugely important, particularly for, the peace of mind if things were to go wrong over the next 10 years. But also, generally, investors have a 5 to 10 year goal. So if you're going to buy establish that 5 or 10 year house is now going to be a 15-year-old house, where brand new, if your goal is to sell out in 5 years, that house is still relatively new, right? So you'll have no issues and needing to put more money into it to sell it as well.
And that will happen. And eventually the established market will become more dominant, and that's the way, or that'll be the easier way, the easier option. But right now, I agree with you. Building, as long as you've got the circumstances, you can finance it for the year to build it, you'll reap the benefits at the end of it. Yeah.
All right, that's us. Buy versus build established for 2024.
Big thanks to Catherine. That was a lot of her brain there going in there. So
I'm never talking again. That's it.
I
Goodbye.
was just sitting looking proud. All right, well, look, as always, guys, thanks very much. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell us what we've done well, what we've done bad, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.
Bye.
This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Lawn Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.